In this lesson, we'll create an internal boring operation and we'll verify it. So I'll go up to the Turning tab and select the rough toolpath. I have partial chain selected. I'll go ahead and select the chamfer on the front and the radius on the bottom of that profile. You can see it filters to the boring bars for me. I've got ID rough minimum and an ID finish boring bar. I'll go ahead and put a comment in there. Left spindle rough bore. My axis combination is my left upper. We can change the speeds and feeds to our liking at this point, and I'll go ahead to the rough parameters. Now we can choose to have an overlap or not. If I turn this off, you can see how the toolpath will react. I'll turn it back on. There's some tools inside of the overlap function here that will help us to specify what we want. I am going to go ahead and turn on comping control. I need to be sure that my lead in and lead out are at least as big as the radius on the tool I'll be using. I do have some options for depth cuts here. I'm going to leave them at equal steps. And I am going to make my depth cut a little smaller here in this case. I want to see what happens with this. So an entry amount of 0.1 is good. My exit amount is good. We can determine how much stock we want to leave in X and Z. And I am going to turn on use stock for outer boundary. We can take a look and see what we're going to cut. That's what we're going to cut by selecting the adjust stock feature here. So let's go ahead and create a tool path here. You see we have a problem that the tool collides with the stock. We can see right here that the outline of the tool is colliding with the stock. So we need to change something. The boring bar is too big for the parameters we have set. It did go ahead and create this tool path. So I'll select both operations and go to verify and take a look at what we have. So I do have my fixtures turned off. You can see the settings I have here. And in verify, I do have my XY clipping plane on the top activated. So I'm going to go ahead and run my first operation. And then I'll start to step through. And you can see what's happening here is I'm clipping the back side of the boring bar here. We know we need to fix this. So I've got a few choices here. I can come in and I can change it in my lead in, lead out. I might be able to clear it if I make a deeper depth of cut. I'm going to use the lead in, lead out. I'm going to leave the lead in the way it is. For my lead out, I'll go ahead and change that to 50. We'll regenerate it. You see I have no collision error at this point. I'll grab both toolpaths. I'll go back up into verify. I'll jump through the first operation and I'll start to step through this one. So there's our first cut. We come down through the radius and rough it out, and you can see we've got clearance. Not a lot of clearance, but I just wanted to show how we can look and see inside our part, inside of verify. Now let's create the finish bore. So I'll select the finish operation. I'm going to use the same geometry I selected in the last operation. I'm going to use the finish boring bar here. I'll go ahead and put my comment in. We'll make it left spindle finish bore. We can change our speeds and feeds. And we'll take a look at the finish parameters. So you can see our finish direction is correct. We have one finish pass. We have a finish step over of 100 thousandths. We're going to finish it, so we're not going to leave any stock in X or Z. I'm going to comp this tool in the control as well, and I'll extend my contour to the stock. Let's see what we have left there. So it's going to grab this geometry here. We'll accept it. Let's take a quick look at it. and I'm just hitting the S key, stepping through, and it looks good.